You know that specific Sunday night feeling?
Oh yeah, the dread.
Right, the dread. But also, like, you're sitting on your couch and you're looking at the same, I don't know, the same crack in the ceiling you've stared at for 5 years, and you get this sudden, almost physical urge to just burn it all down.
I mean, not literally burn it down.
No, no, not literally. But the urge to pack a bag, buy a one-way ticket, load up a U-Haul, and just drive until the map creates a totally new version of you.
Ah, yes. The classic geographic cure.
The geographic cure, exactly.
Yeah.
We usually frame this impulse as, escapism. We call it running away from your problems, or maybe a midlife crisis, or just being young and reckless.
Which is how it's portrayed in movies all the time.
Always. But I've been looking at the research stack we pulled for today's deep dive, and I have to ask, is there actual science behind the fresh start? Or are we just, deluding ourselves?
It is absolutely more than just a romantic notion. In fact, if you look at the neurology, staying in the exact same place might be the single biggest biological obstacle to changing who you are.
Really? The biggest obstacle?
Yes. The sources we have today suggest that moving isn't just about changing your zip code, it is a mechanism for deep, subconscious reprogramming.
Subconscious reprogramming. I love that phrase. So today, we are going on a deep dive into the science of leaving home. And our source stack is, well, it's pretty eclectic today.
It is a very fun mix.
We have some heavy neurological research on something called predictive processing. We've got ancient biblical wisdom regarding prophets and their hometowns. And this is honestly my favorite part. We are doing a lyrical analysis of Tracy Chapman's hit song, Fast Car.
Which is actually a perfect case study for this topic. I mean, and it might be the most accurate behavioral psychology paper ever written in a folk rock format.
I cannot wait to unpack that. But let's start with the brain. Why is it so incredibly hard to grow when you just stay put?
Well, it starts with a concept called identity anchors.
Identity anchors. Okay,
Yeah.
Break that down for me.
Right. So we tend to think of ourselves, our personality, our habits, our quirks, as something entirely internal, like a pearl inside an oyster. You think you are you regardless of where you're standing.
Sure, I'm me in London, I'm me in Tokyo, I'm me sitting in my living room.
Exactly. But the neuroscience says that is not entirely true. Your brain is essentially an efficiency engine. It offloads a huge amount of cognitive work to the environment. It constructs a self-concept based on consistent environmental cues.
And the research calls these cues.
External mirrors. Think about your daily routine. The local coffee shop, the cracked sidewalk on your block, the specific way the light hits your living room wall at 4 in the afternoon.
It's familiar. It's home.
It is home. But it's also a mirror reflecting your past self back to you. When you walk past that specific coffee shop, your brain unconsciously accesses every memory, every habit, and every version of yourself associated with that exact location.
Wow.
It reinforces who you have been rather than who you want to be.
So my environment is basically user interface for my personality.
That's a great way to put it.
If I'm trying to reinvent myself, say I want to be more confident, or I want to eat healthier, or just be different, my environment is basically whispering, no, remember, you're the guy who orders the caramel macchiato and sits in the corner scrolling his phone.
Precisely. You are fighting your own hardware. And that's just the physical environment. It gets much, much stickier when we talk about social reinforcement.
The people we leave behind.
Or the people we stay with.
Yeah.
Family and friends, the people who have known us the longest. They have fixed expectations. They have a very rigid model of you in their heads.
Right, because they've watched you grow up.
And unconsciously, they reward patterns that fit that model.
Yeah.
And they resist changes that violate it.
Oh, I have definitely felt that. You try to change and someone makes a joke like, oh, look at Mr. Big Shot, or who do you think you are all of a sudden?
That is exactly what the literature calls the suppression of identity discontinuity.
Identity discontinuity.
Yes. The people around you create a behavioral feedback loop. They aren't trying to be malicious, necessarily. But if you change, it disrupts their prediction of reality. It causes them cognitive stress.
Because you aren't acting like the character they wrote for you in their heads.
Exactly. So if you stay put, you are constantly being pulled back into your old self by the people who know you best, to save them from that cognitive stress.
That is a perfect segue into the hard science of this, because you mentioned prediction, and in our source stack, there's this phrase that keeps coming up, neurons that fire together, wire together.
Hebbian learning.
Right. I feel like I hear that a lot in self-help circles, but what does it actually mean in the context of, packing up and moving to a new city?
It's the basis of neuroplasticity. In your familiar environment, Your thoughts and behaviors are hardwired. They are deeply automatic. You don't think about the route you drive to work, you just arrive.
Yeah, highway hypnosis.
Exactly. You don't think about how to react to your brother's teasing, you just snap back. That is the fire and wire cycle. Your brain is running on pure efficiency.
So I'm essentially on autopilot.
You are. But moving your environment creates a massive, undeniable disruption to that autopilot. The sources describe this as entering a record state.
A record state, like pressing record on a camera.
Yes. When you make a drastic change to your physical environment, your brain shifts into a state of high receptivity. It's actually strikingly similar to the theta state found in children aged 0 to 7.
Wait, so moving to a new city can make my brain act like a toddler's brain? In a good way, I mean.
In the sense of learnability and programmability, yes. Think about a toddler. They are downloading the world. They don't have a rigid filter yet. When you move to a new city, your brain stops playing the old tape because the environmental cues are simply gone.
The coffee shop isn't there, the cracked sidewalk isn't there.
The superhighway of your daily habit leads to a dead end, so the brain has to start recording again. It becomes programmable.
That is wild. It's like hitting a factory reset button on your neurology.
And this connects directly to the theory of predictive processing. This is some of the heaviest science in the stack today. Some neuroscientists suggest that what we call reality is actually just a controlled hallucination.
Okay, hold on. You are going to have to explain controlled hallucination before we move on, because that sounds like I need to go see a doctor.
It sounds very matrixy, I know. But basically, your brain is a prediction machine locked inside a dark, silent skull. It doesn't passively take in information through your eyes and ears like a video camera.
What does it do then?
It predicts what is about to happen based on past data. In your hometown, your brain predicts your mother's reaction. It predicts the traffic patterns. It predicts the exact taste of the food at your favorite diner. When the prediction matches the incoming sensory reality, your internal model is reinforced. You are asleep at the wheel.
Right. Nothing new to see here. The brain says, I know this movie. I don't need to watch closely.
Exactly. But when you move, suddenly there is a massive violation of expectations.
The coffee tastes different.
The coffee tastes different. The traffic patterns are weird. The people have entirely different social cues.
The mismatch.
The mismatch. And that mismatch forces the brain to wake up. It has to update its internal models to survive. You physically cannot run on autopilot in a new city. You have to be deeply present. And that presence is the exact window where personal growth happens.
This also touches on what one of the articles called strategic isolation.
Yes, a very powerful concept.
Which sounds a bit lonely, honestly. But the idea is that by getting away from social distance influencers, which is just a fancy academic way of saying your neighbors and your high school friends, you stop performing for them.
You reduce the pressure to follow established social scripts. When you are under constant observation by people who know your entire history, you are self-conscious. You filter yourself.
Because you know they're judging you against your past.
But when you are a stranger in a strange land, you are free to experiment with a completely new identity. Because no one's there to look at you and say, that's not you.
I love that. It's the freedom of anonymity. But, you know, this isn't actually a new idea. We have MRI machines now to prove it, but humans have known this for thousands of years. Which brings us to the next part of our stack, the prophet in his hometown.
Mark chapter 6, verse 4.
Right. The quote is, "A prophet is not without honor except in his hometown and among his relatives and in his own house." This is something Jesus said.
Yes, and the context is crucial here to understand the psychology. Jesus goes back to Nazareth. He has been outperforming miracles, teaching, gaining this massive following. He is, by all accounts, completely transformed.
But he goes home and he can't do much there.
Because they just see the carpenter's son.
Exactly. The people were amazed at his teaching, but they were also deeply offended by him. They said, is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary? They knew his family. They knew his upbringing.
They're looking at his identity anchors.
They are fact-checking his current transformation against their ancient memory of him as a kid.
It is exactly that. The source material uses the phrase, familiarity breeds contempt. But psychologically speaking, I don't think it's necessarily a malicious contempt. It's that cognitive efficiency again.
They already have a file on him.
They have a pre-existing file. They see the past version of the person, not the current growth or the God-given gift.
So even if you become a literal prophet, even if you are the Messiah in this context, you cannot override the cognitive bias of the people who watched you grow up.
Yet is the implication. The text actually suggests that their lack of faith, Their complete inability to see him as he was right then and there actually restricted his ability to perform miracles in that town.
That's a powerful metaphor for personal growth.
It really is. If you stay in your hometown, the skepticism of your community can actually cap your potential. They disregard your wisdom because they feel like they know the source too well.
They remember when you were 5 years old and ate dirt in the backyard.
Exactly, and they will never let you forget it. And if the audience refuses to see the change in you, it becomes incredibly difficult for you to maintain that change yourself.
So we have the brain science saying, move to rewire your neural pathways. And we have ancient wisdom saying, move so that your growth can actually be honored. But there's a trap here, a huge trap.
The trap of moving without changing.
Right. You can move, you can get the new zip code, you can pack the U-Haul, and you can still completely fail to change.
The geographic cure fallacy.
And for that, we are looking at Tracy Chapman.
Fast car.
I think everyone listening knows this song. It's an absolute anthem. But when you read the lyrics through the lens of this research, specifically looking at predictive processing and identity anchors, it is honestly like reading a case study on behavioral psychology.
It really is. It illustrates the profound struggle between physical relocation and internal subconscious reprogramming. Perfectly.
So let's look at the first verse. She's talking about her old man. He's got a problem. He lives with a bottle.
This represents the origin environment. Her entire identity in that first verse is defined by her father's addiction. She says, I had to quit school, and that's what I did.
She is the caretaker. She is the dropout.
Those are her rigid identity anchors.
And the urge to leave. She sings, any place is better, starting from zero, got nothing to lose. That is the desperate desire to sever those external mirrors. She needs to leave just to be someone.
Right. She understands instinctively that she cannot be a different person while living in that specific house with that specific dynamic.
But then we get to the fantasy, the famous chorus.
You'll find work and I'll get promoted. We'll move out of the shelter, buy a bigger house, and live in the suburbs.
This is pure predictive processing. She's projecting a completely new reality for herself.
But notice what she actually wants. She wants the suburbs. She wants a big house.
Which are external things.
Yes. She isn't just seeking real estate. She is seeking a new self-concept. The suburbs and the promotion are symbols of an identity she has never been allowed to inhabit. She truly believes that changing her geography will automatically rewire her internal sense of worth.
It's the belief that if we just drive fast enough, I will magically become a different person.
Exactly. But here's where the song gets really interesting and honestly heartbreaking. The narrative takes a turn.
The trap. She sings, you stay out drinking late at the bar, see more of your friends than you do of your kids.
This is the critical lesson of the song and of the science we're discussing today. Identity continuity.
She moved, they got the car, they drove away. But the toxic dynamic followed them right to the new city.
Because the partner, who in this narrative essentially represents her attachment to the past, recreated the exact same alcoholic dynamic she fled from with her father.
That hits so hard. So she physically relocated, but she didn't subconsciously reprogram herself.
Or rather, she brought her familiar environment with her in the form of her partner. This beautifully illustrates the extreme danger of moving without changing your internal blueprint.
You just rebuild the same house on a new lot.
If you don't intentionally change your subconscious predictions, you will attract or create the exact same familiar environment, even in a brand new city. You will find the same type of dysfunctional friends, the same toxic boss, the same chaos.
Because that is what your brain predicts. That is what feels safe, even if it's completely miserable.
Exactly. The brain actually prefers familiar misery over unfamiliar happiness.
Wow.
Familiar misery is predictable. Your brain knows how to survive it. Unfamiliar happiness is a violation of expectation. It feels dangerous. It sets off alarm bells. So she recreated the chaos she knew how to navigate.
The brain prefers familiar misery. That should honestly be on a t-shirt. But the song doesn't actually end there. And I think people often forget the ending of Fast Car. It is actually deeply triumphant.
It is. The resolution. She sings, I got a job that pays all our bills. You stay out drinking late at the bar. I got no plans. I ain't going nowhere.
And then the kicker, so take your fast car and keep on driving.
This is the true aha moment. In the final verses, she finally develops what the research calls a self-referent context.
What does that mean in plain English?
It means she realizes she is the stability. She isn't waiting for the car to take her somewhere better anymore. She isn't waiting for the magical suburbs to fix her internal state.
She realizes she is the one with the job. She is the one paying the bills.
She exerts control.
Specifically, secondary control.
Right. Primary control is trying to change the outside world to suit you, like buying a house or moving cities to feel happy. Secondary control is changing yourself to align with your reality.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
By telling her partner to leave, she is finally choosing to stop mirroring the dysfunctional patterns of her parents. She claims her own independent reality. She breaks the neural cycle.
So the fast car was the vehicle for the physical move, but the real journey was her realizing she didn't need the car or the partner to define her identity.
Precisely. The move was necessary for her to see the truth. She had to get away from her father to realize she was capable of paying the bills.
Yeah.
But the move itself wasn't the cure. The cure was the internal decision to stop repeating the pattern.
Man, I will never listen to that acoustic guitar intro the same way again. It is not just a folk song, it's a full therapy session.
It is a masterpiece of behavioral insight.
So let's synthesize this for everyone listening. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the synaptic cleft all the way to the suburbs.
We certainly have.
We leave home to break the fire and wire cycle of our neurons. We leave to escape the identity anchors of our neighbors and friends who only remember us exactly as we were.
We leave to force our brains to stop predicting the past and start recording the present. We are effectively hacking our own neuroplasticity.
But as Tracy Chapman teaches us, the move is just the very first step. You have to watch out for the identity continuity that tries to sneak into the passenger seat with you.
Right. You can change your latitude and longitude, but if you don't update your internal software, you're just going to run the exact same old program in a new location. You have to actively choose new habits, new friends, and a new way of being once you arrive.
So here is the final provocation for everyone listening, and I really think this is the core question that decides whether a move is just an escape or an actual transformation.
It comes down to this concept of primary versus secondary control. Are you trying to change your environment just to make it more comfortable for your old self?
Or are you willing to put yourself in a new environment specifically to let it change you?
That is the ultimate question. Are you moving to hide, or are you moving to grow?
And if you look around right now at your room, your street, your friends, ask yourself this. Are these windows looking out at the world? Or are they just mirrors reflecting the person you were trying to outgrow?
That is something to sit with.
Consider those mirrors broken. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.